We've got major breaking news coming out of South Korea. The president there has declared martial law, and we've got images of what appears to be police or military clashing with citizens. The rules that they've implemented are sweeping. South Korean parliament has now voted unanimously to shut down the martial law. This is pretty crazy. Now, I am no expert on South Korean politics at all, so I can only give you a cursory glimpse of the news that we are seeing. But I will say, when you pull up the political positions of this president, which, again, may not reflect accurately, they call him the Donald Trump of South Korea. This I find particularly fascinating. Now, it may all be propaganda and BS. And so I say this at the start of the segment. I don't know. Right now, there's a lot of conservatives that I see are saying, wow, what a terrible move. You can't do this. It's dictatorial powers and all of that. And certainly I agree with you don't come out and shut down the press and take things over, all that. That being said, it doesn't mean that he's completely wrong. I honestly don't know. And so when I look at how the media has handled a Donald Trump scenario for us, where they lie about everything he's doing and claim he's going to use the military against his own citizens, I'm just like, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. And I don't know what to believe. Just because a man has done this thing doesn't mean I'm going to instantly say it's all wrong and he's terrible. According to the president, he's trying to resist communist forces. Sure, it could be nonsense. He's saying that the opposition party are North Korea sympathizers and they are oppressing the people and they're trying to stop the Free Republic of South Korea, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe he's right. I don't know. I don't live in South Korea. The left in this country is, of course, going to say, then you're supporting fascism, Tim, because he's declaring martial law. Martial law exists for functional reasons. Now, I certainly don't think this is the appropriate way to handle things. Don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is, while he certainly should not try and shut down politics and speech in the media in this country, what I am saying is that is wrong. I am also saying maybe there really is a nefarious element on the other side. I have no idea. So criticize him for this move for sure. But I don't know enough about South Korean politics to determine who is good or who is bad, right? A lot of people want to immediately jump up and just assert that they're on one side or the other. And I'm like, honestly, I have no idea. But let's read the news and we'll break down exactly where we're at with this martial law declaration. South Korea President Yoon declares martial law slams domestic opponents. Reuters reports President Yoon Suk on Tuesday declared martial law in a surprise late-night TV address, slamming domestic political opponents and sending shockwaves through the country. Yoon said opposition parties had taken the parliamentary process hostage. He vowed to eradicate shameless pro-North Korean anti-state forces and said he had no choice but to take the measure to safeguard constitutional order. Yonhap News Agency cited the military as saying activities by parliament and political parties would be banned and that media and publishers would be under the control of the martial law command. You don't look like a good guy when you do that. But I gotta stress, what do we see in this country with our corporate press? So don't come to me and defend their media apparatus simply because there's another bad guy on the scene. I'll stress it again. Sounds like a bad guy in shutting down the press. Agreed. I'm not going to defend the press either, though. If the issue is two crackpot wingnuts are fighting with each other, I can call them both bad guys. I don't trust corporate press by default. You don't get to come to me and say, but the media is the important fourth. Shut up. Okay, this country, okay, our media has devolved and maybe always was a bunch of vile scumbag liars, right? Now, I certainly don't think the way you handle it is doing this. This is bad and scumbaggery as well. But you know what? I got to tell you, conflict's conflict. So you can sit here and can say, I think one side's right, one side's wrong, all you want. To me, I say, well, welcome to conflict. Everybody's going to make an assertion and they're going to fight for power, and whoever wins, wins. History is written by the victors. They're going to say, Yoon did not cite any specific threat from the nuclear-armed North, instead focusing on domestic political opponents. It's the first time since 1980 that martial law has been declared in South Korea. South Korea has had a series of authoritarian leaders early in its history, but has been considered democratic since the 1980s. The Korean won was down sharply against the U.S. dollar. A central bank official said it was preparing measures to stabilize the market if needed. Finance Minister Chow Sang-mok had convened an emergency meeting among top economic officials, his spokesman said in a text message. Yoon's predecessor, Moon Jae-in of the Democratic Party, said in a post on X, the country's democracy is in crisis. I hope the National Assembly will act quickly to protect our democracy from crumbling. And right there, I'm just like, I don't believe them. I don't believe any of these people when they say our democracy. I am traumatized by the deep state media apparatus saying our democracy over and over again while they spat in our faces. So forgive me. I'm not saying the president is right to do any of this. Say it 50 million times. But I think they're not going to get any sympathy from me. Sorry, I'm not here to take sides. He wrote in a post, I ask the people to join forces to protect and save democracy and to help the National Assembly function normally. The U.S. is in contact with the South Korean government and is monitoring the situation closely, a White House spokesperson said. Some 20,500 U.S. troops are stationed in South Korea to guard against the North. A spokesman for the U.S. military command did not answer repeated phone calls. Japan's prime minister's office could not immediately be reached for comment outside of business hours. Yoon slams parliament. Quote, I declare martial law to protect the Free Republic of Korea from the threat of North Korean communist forces, to eradicate the despicable pro-North Korean anti-state forces that are plundering the freedom and happiness of our people, and to protect the free constitutional order. Yoon did not immediately specify who constituted the pro-North Korean anti-state forces, but he has cited such forces in the past as hindering his agenda and undermining the country. He did not say in the address what specific measures will be taken. Yonhap reported that the entrance to the parliament building was blocked. Tanks, armored personnel carriers, and soldiers with guns and knives will rule the country, Lee Jae-myung, leader of the opposition Democratic Party, which has the majority in parliament, said in a live stream online. The economy of the Republic of Korea will collapse irretrievably. My fellow citizens, please come to the National Assembly. Yoon cited a motion by the country's opposition Democratic Party. They keep saying opposition Democratic Party. You don't need to, it's just stop with I can't stand that. Qualifiers. They say the Democratic Party has a majority in parliament this week to impeach some of the country's top prosecutors and its rejection of a government budget proposal. Our parliament has become a den for criminals. It has paralyzed the administrative and legal systems by ramming through legislations and is attempting to overthrow our democratic system. South Korea's ministers on Monday protested the move by the opposition DP last week to slash more than 4 trillion won from the government's budget proposal. Yoon said the action undermines the essential functioning of government administration. South Korea's opposition parties held a rally on Saturday calling Yoon to accept a special prosecutor investigation on allegations of fraud against the First Lady. The latest such protests by the party and civic groups in recent weeks against Yoon. In October, North Korean propaganda leaflets apparently carried by balloons were found scattered on the streets of Seoul, including some making personal attacks on Yoon and the First Lady. The Reuters daily briefing newsletter provides all the news you need to start your day. Oh, I'm sorry. That's just I'm too wired in. I'm reading their promos now. I'm sitting here as I'm reading this, just thinking to myself, what if Donald Trump actually says, you know what, let's say it's 2027. Let's say 2027. Democrats are in Congress. They're blocking everything that's going on. And Donald Trump says, we cannot allow this. And then calls for maybe not martial law, but some kind of action to what if he adjourns Congress and shuts them down? He has the authority to do so in certain circumstances. Would y'all immediately just believe that Democrats like Adam Schiff have your best interest at heart? So that being said, while I certainly disagree with strong moves like this because it undermines your credibility and it's a weak position to be in, conflict is conflict. You know, I wouldn't call it civil war or anything, but conflict is conflict, right? If this South Korean president wins control and he's got police forces and they're acting on his behalf, apparently there's videos. I think we have some of these videos. Let's pull some of this stuff up. So there's Parliament. They're the official. Here we go. Take a look at this. Ali London says Korean military helicopter lands on the roof of Parliament. I am not going to immediately just side with protesters or Democratic Party. I don't care if their name is the Democrats or whatever. I'm not going to immediately side with anybody. We have seen far left extremists protest in the street and firebomb buildings. They were wrong. They are wrong. They're wrong all the time. And the right rarely protests. So we see these videos and we see actions by the government. And what would you do and what would you say in the event? And I'm not saying this guy's right. I want to clarify this strongly. What would you do if someone like Adam Schiff organized a group to shut down Donald Trump's cabinet and bar administration and bar the criminal prosecutions of people we know committed crimes, what would you do? Man, I have no idea. Now, Parliament has voted to lift the president's martial law declaration. Now, what's fascinating here is, let me grab the official rules. This is Ali London's got the full rules here, saying to safeguard liberal democracy and protect the safety of all people against anti-state forces threatening to overthrow the Republic of Korea, the following measures are declared nationwide effective December 3rd, 2024. All political activities, number one, all political activities, including the operation of the National Assembly, local councils, political parties, political associations, assemblies, and demonstrations are strictly prohibited. Two, any act that denies or seeks to overthrow the liberal democratic system, including the dissemination of fake news, manipulation of public opinion, and false propaganda is prohibited. All media and publications will be subject to the control of the martial law command. Strikes, work slowdowns, and gatherings that incite social disorder are forbidden. 5. All medical professionals, including resident doctors currently on strike or absent from medical duties, must return to their work and perform their responsibilities within 48 hours. Violators will be dealt with under martial law. 6. Measures will be implemented to minimize inconvenience for ordinary citizens, except for anti-state forces and those attempting to overthrow the system. Violators of this proclamation will be subject to arrest, detention, and search and seizure without a warrant under Article 9 of the Martial Law Act, special measures by the Martial Law Commander, and punished under Article 14 of the Martial Law Act, penalties. Let me just point out, number one, he's suspended the National Assembly. So when they vote to overturn this, he's already shut them down. I'm not saying he actually can. This is conflict. In the end, all that matters is force and who can pull it off. If the military sides with the president and they say, this is what the law is supposed to be, martial law for these reasons, then ain't no parliament going to turn nothing off. That's it. This is the scary point, my friends. For South Korea, this is the point at which the people who control the force of violence simply say, I agree or I disagree. The question will be, who does the military side with? That's it. The president's going to say, shut them down. Parliament says, shut him down. And the police and the military are going to say, let's figure out which way to take this. It's scary stuff. Now, I have this. This is funny. I don't think Wikipedia is a good reference for anything, especially political. I mean, maybe if you want to read about like flower gametes or something, fine. But they're going to mention a lot about this guy. And we know that Wikipedia is basically a leftist activist blog. They say publications like Newsweek are not credible. And Newsweek's fairly middle of the road. They do some bad leftist stuff for sure, but sometimes they're honest. I have an op-ed published. I published an op-ed when Jamie Raskin smeared me, and they published what I had to say. But they say that leftist blogs like Gizmodo are credible. These people are psychotic. Good luck, Wikipedia. So I point this out. They go to mention he's anti-feminist or whatever, and he proposed the creation of a police bureau to ensure greater government oversight of the police force. And they go on to mention, let me see, where is this at? Allegations of the new right. They've referred to him as the Donald Trump of South Korea. Where do they have this? Let me pull that one up for you. No. We don't want bookmarks. We want find. There you go. Allegations of Democratic backsliding and media suppression. The Swedish VDEM Institute reported that under his administration, they were dropping in their liberal democracy index. Instantly, I'm like, okay, I think they're liars. Sorry. They described Yoon as South Korea's Donald Trump. They wrote of Yoon. The 2021 elections brought the right-wing and conservative Yoon Suk-yeol to power. His recent professional history already showed abuse of power. The change of president set South Korea back on a downward slope. President Yoon Suk-yeol's coercive measures to punish members of the former Moon administration, along with attacks on gender equality, set Korea to decrease its LDI levels. And I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm just going, really? Sounds to me not too dissimilar to what Donald Trump is. Now, I will stress again, I'm not saying I know enough about South Korean politics to agree or disagree. I'm just saying I don't trust any of y'all. I don't trust a Swedish VDEM Institute. What is this? The Varieties of Democracy Institute. And looks like they like the United States. Is that it? This is their electoral democracy index. And America's blue. And so is Sweden. So I guess they think that we are as good as they are. And South Korea is also blue. Whatever. Don't know if any of that really matters. But the point I'll bring up is if this is the way they're describing this guy, I'm already going to have a predisposition in his favor. Now, I'm not in agreement with any of the stuff that martial law or any of that. Nah, I'm not a fan of that. Michael Tracy has a post breaking down his address. Michael, I hope your translation is accurate. He says, President Yoon of South Korea decries the legislative dictatorship of the opposition party, which won this year's parliamentary elections, as it uses even the budget as a means of political struggle. Doesn't the allocation of resources often tend to be the locus of political struggle? Yoon says, quote, the government is in a state of paralysis due to impeachment, special investigation, and the defense of the opposition leader. I declare emergency martial law to defend the Free Republic of Korea from the threats of the North Korean communist forces. Yeah, I wonder. Maybe this guy saw what they did to Donald Trump. What, they're trying to impeach the guy? He's under special investigation? That sounds a lot like what happened with Trump in 2016. And we know it was all a hoax. So I'm sorry, but I'm biased. I don't know a lot about South Korean politics, but I see these similarities and it gives me a bias. I think it's wrong to declare martial law, but maybe this guy is reacting because he saw what they did to Trump and he knows that they've learned from those things and it may get worse. They go on to say, he claims he will eradicate and crush his opposition, whom he describes as shameless pro-North Korean anti-state forces that are plundering the freedom and happiness of our people. It seems like Yoon was having some political problems and decided he would seize dictatorial power to solve those problems, claiming, as would be expected, a national security pretext. Would they claim that Donald Trump was having political problems when they accused him of being a Russian traitor and tried impeaching him when he looked into the crimes of Joe Biden, which we now know 10% for the big guy? So again, I stress, I don't know. First response says, no, Mr. Yoon, the legislature doing something you don't like doesn't mean you get to be a dictator. Did nobody ever tell this guy how democracy or laws work? One person says he'll end up in prison by the end of the decade. Maybe. They say similar things to Donald Trump. Now Donald Trump is actually going to be president again. South Korean political activities banned, protests prohibited, and media censored under martial law. Members of the National Assembly banned from entering building after president announces emergency martial law. This is part of the breaking news, and there's video of this stuff. Take a look. So I'm not, this is live right now. Wow, they got a live camera going on. I thought that was just a video. So let's get the refresh going and see what the latest updates are. Lawmakers in South Korea vote to lift the martial law decree. With 190 of its 300 members present, just passed a motion. I don't think that matters. UK government says it's closely monitoring the situation. The Prime Minister says we would advise all British nationals to monitor the UK travel advice for updates. And is that it? Okay. The Korean won is down sharply. Thousands of people are gathering. We can scroll down. Take a look at some of these images here. So here's a picture of a woman. Okay. This is soldiers advanced to the main building of the National Assembly after South Korean president declared martial law. The question is, did he plan this out with military leaders? Looks like to a certain degree he did. So I don't know if these are police. They say it's military and they're shutting down parliament and police are working with them. I don't see how anything parliament does is going to work. They say, here's a statement from Speaker Woo Won-shik's office. Dear citizen, this is the Speaker of the National Assembly. In response to the President's declaration of martial law, the National Assembly will take appropriate measures in accordance with constitutional procedures. We ask citizens to trust the National Assembly and calmly observe the situation. All members of the National Assembly are requested to convene at the main Assembly Hall immediately. In particular, we urge military and police forces to remain calm and maintain their positions. Here's a video of opposition MPs gathering outside the parliament in Seoul. There's a substantial police presence outside the assembly. I don't know, man. We live in trying times. Right now, there are questions about how in California, the whole state shifted to the right. Some counties that were 12%, it was D plus 12, are now R plus 0.5, a massive shift. Yet somehow 30 days after the election, okay, not 30s, but like 20 days after the election, the Republican incumbent loses to this Democrat. And there's questions about were certain ballots thrown out. I don't know. I don't think that in this country, at least, Democrats are going to sit by and let Donald Trump just do what he wants. I don't know about South Korea, but I would be surprised if they are not experiencing similar conflicts in worldview and ideology. I believe this is largely due to media consumption and how social media arose. There is a rot of individuals in the United States, at the very least, who believe in self-gain and nothing else. And then you have the more traditional worldview of protecting the country and forming community. The left says they're love and peace in this country, but they lie, cheat, and steal all day, every day. We know the media is lying about everything. Donald Trump did not stage a coup in this country or declare martial law. But they claimed he did. The Chinese embassy has urged citizens in South Korea to exercise caution and remain calm. The embassy advised Chinese nationals in South Korea to monitor developments in the political situation, enhance safety awareness, et cetera, et cetera. We get it. So I guess we'll wait and see what we end up getting out of this. We do have another video here I can show you. Yikes. I look at these and I'm going to tell you right away, I'm biased. Sorry, I absolutely am. There's a lot of conservatives that are criticizing the government of Korea, but my response is like, I don't know. I'm staying out of it because I've watched far leftists firebomb the White House and get away with it. I don't know who these protesters are, and they deserve no sympathy from me. Until we know exactly what's going on, I don't know that it's our place to jump into the fray and figure out who's right and who's wrong in the situation. If there was a far left communist element overthrowing the government through administrative means, then would it be wrong of the president to try and do something about it? Even if it was a desperate and, I would say, bad strategic act? Don't ask me. I ain't going to tell you. I'm just going to say I am traumatized by what we have seen from intelligence agents framing our president as a traitor to this country. And now, maybe that's what they were hoping for. I'm going to wrap it up there. Stick around. We got more segments coming up in the next hour. Smash the like button. Share the show with everyone you know. Follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Become a member at timcast.com, and we'll see you all soon.